Good morning. Thank you for joining us live here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal joining you this Monday morning, beginning of a brand new week to get you all the top stories that are coming in that you need to know this week and what really transpired over the weekend. The last time I joined you live on Friday was soon after the Prime Minister announced that the farm laws will be repealed, and that's what's largely made headlines since. On Friday, since the announcement, there were a lot of reactions that poured in, but the focus and the number one question was whether farmers will finally end their stir. Remember that the Prime Minister, when he spoke on Friday, also put out that appeal saying that I request all farmers to now head back home to their families, back to their fields. But is that actually going to happen? Looks unlikely right now, and here's why. Since the announcement, several farmers have said that, look, our only demand wasn't repealing of the farm laws. They put forth a slew of other demands as well, and they're saying that till these demands are met, they're going to continue their protest. There was a meeting that happened yesterday at the Singhu border, which has been one of the places along Delhi's borders where you've seen a lot of these agitations, a lot of these protests over the last many months. Today, there's going to be a Mahapanchayat in Lucknow, but the messaging from these farmers and the reason they're still holding these hurdles, these show of strength, is because they're saying that they have a number of other demands as well. Of course, they're saying that we're going to wait till the farm laws are formally repealed in the winter session of Parliament, which kicks off next week, but they're also saying that they have a number of other issues they want addressed. One is a written guarantee over minimum support price, that nothing can mess with MSP, so they want a law stating that it is there and it's not going anywhere. Besides that, they're saying that all cases, FIRs that were registered against farmer protesters in the last few months must be withdrawn. Another point that they're saying is that the electricity amendment bill, which they've been up against, should also be withdrawn by the government. So they're saying if these, among several other demands, are met, then we'll stop our agitation. Now, there's been no clarity from the government on whether they're going to be doing this, but I mentioned how there's a Mahapanchayat in Lucknow today. Rakesh Tikait, someone who's been leading the protest for quite some time now, is going to be there. This entire Mahapanchayat is being organized by the Samyukt Kisan Morcha. Again, it's a show of strength, and the fact that it's happening in Lucknow is something that the BJP will be worried about. Let's be very clear that the decision that was taken by the government, by the Prime Minister, and the timing of it was seen as a political one in the run-up to an election in Uttar Pradesh and in Punjab. Now, amid that, for this Mahapanchayat to be held in Uttar Pradesh, in Lucknow, is going to be something that will have the BJP worried, especially because these farmers aren't coming together to hail the government. They're coming together to reiterate that they have several other demands to be met. So how are things going to progress here on? Is the stalemate going to continue between the farmers and the government? We'll perhaps get the answers to that in a few days from now. There's a very important meeting that will be happening on November 27th, where the farmers, particularly leaders of several of the unions who've been holding these protests, will be coming together. They're going to decide on the future course of action. They could even protest while Parliament is in session till the formal rollback of the laws. They could decide to go beyond that as well, because I mentioned some of the other demands that they put forth. So we'll be tracking the latest and the big takeaways from the Mahapanchayat that happens today, the decision that's taken by the farmers. Now, another fallout of the decision by the government is that there are demands now for similar such controversial, contentious legislations from the government to be withdrawn. The Citizenship Amendment Act, the reinstating of Article 370. There are demands that all of this be done as well. Assaduddin Owaisi, who's been campaigning in Uttar Pradesh for the last few days, he was in Barabanki yesterday, where he held a rally where he said that the government must now give in to the demand for the Citizenship Amendment Act to be withdrawn and also for NRC. Remember, it was passed in Parliament a few years ago. It hasn't been implemented yet, but Owaisi is saying, and he's threatening, that much like what the farmers did, Muslim groups will come together and stage a protest on the streets of Uttar Pradesh. He said that a Shaheen Bagh-like protest will happen now in Uttar Pradesh, where he too will hit the streets. So the opposition is using the momentum created over the farm laws and of course the rollback on that to demand a rollback and the repeal of several other very controversial decisions by the government. One is the CAA and NRC, as I told you, where Owaisi has said that, we'll have a Shaheen Bagh-like stir. Just to quickly re-jog your memory, remember that during the CAA decision, when it was being debated in Parliament, there was this huge protest at Shaheen Bagh in Delhi. The roads were closed leading up to Shaheen Bagh. You had hundreds and thousands of people sitting there on a stir, saying ensure CAA is not brought about, is not implemented. It didn't yield any results. But clearly Dharna is the way forward, keeping in mind what's happened with the farm laws, and that's where Owaisi is saying something similar to Shaheen Bagh we'll do in poll-bound Uttar Pradesh. In Kashmir, similarly, there's a demand to reinstate Article 370. Again, a controversial decision by the government. Now there's a chorus in Jammu and Kashmir saying if you can do it with the farm laws, do it with Article 370. This is kind of, the after effects of the government's decision. And while, the government has defended the repealing of the farm laws, they haven't really given clarity on whether they're going to be doing the same with this as well, on whether they will actually go ahead and repeal, let's say, a CAA or reinstate Article 370. What I can tell you is that it's unlikely right now. Yes, they've done a rethink on the 3 farm laws, and yes, it's an unprecedented decision, but it looks like it will be a full stop with that. They're not going to be rolling back or repealing any of their other controversial legislations. But there is a clear chorus that the opposition is pushing forward now. We'll be getting you the latest reactions on Owaisi's comment also about CAA and repealing it. I want to tell you about what's happening in Tripura. It's been making headlines for the last few weeks, the violence and the face-off that we've been seeing there. And what comes to my mind immediately when we see what's happening in Tripura is that it's a rerun of what's playing out in Bengal. Because right now, the Trinamool Congress and the BJP are indulging not just in a war of words, it's translated to violence on the streets of Tripura. Over the weekend, particularly yesterday in Agartala, there were ugly clashes that broke out between BJP and TMC. As a result of that, remember, I want to also highlight here that it's a BJP government in Tripura, which is why the TMC is crying conspiracy here. Now, the TMC youth leader, she's been arrested, Shayani Ghosh, she's been arrested on an attempt to murder charge. The allegation is that she tried to mow down BJP workers. She's been arrested. She's going to be produced in court today. And it's because of this development that the Trinamool Congress is really upping the ante right now. Mamata Banerjee's nephew Abhishek Banerjee, who's been making many visits to Tripura, tried to visit yesterday. He was denied permission. The TMC said that, look, they're trying to block him. Authorities said that it's because flights aren't allowed to land at night at the Agartala airport. So today he's going to try as well to reach Tripura. We'll be seeing whether he's allowed or not. But he tried to also organize a rally. For that permission has been denied. Beyond that, Trinamool Congress MPs will be protesting in Delhi today. They'll be staging a dharna with a week to go for the winter session of Parliament. So you already know what the narrative for the TMC in Parliament is going to be. All of this is happening very importantly with days to go for the civic body polls in Tripura. So the TMC is trying to make inroads in Tripura there, which is why you're seeing this whole, ugly political face-off with the TMC saying that their workers are being targeted. It's clearly what's been playing out in Bengal, where now instead the venue's changed. It's happening in Tripura. And amid all of this, Mamata Banerjee is going to be in Delhi today. She's on a 3-day visit. She's going to be landing sometime later today. The focus is, of course, going to be on all of this Tripura violence and the fact that already TMC MPs will be protesting in Delhi today. Mamata sought a meeting with Prime Minister Modi. She wants to discuss several issues regarding the state of Bengal. At this point, it's still not clear on whether she's gotten that appointment with the Prime Minister. 3-day visit. If she meets with the Prime Minister, that of course becomes a big political headline of the day. There's also a lot of talk that this is another attempt by Mamata Banerjee to rally the opposition, that she's going to try to get the Congress, the NCP, several other opposition parties on board. And this is before the winter session of Parliament, which starts on Monday next week. And it's also important to highlight here that in June, Mamata made a similar visit when she met with Sonia, when she met with Rahul. She met with several top leaders of different political parties in a bid to get the opposition together under the TMC to take on the BJP in the next general election. And will we really see an attempt like that this time as well? We'll have to wait and watch. But a 3-day visit to Delhi that everyone will be watching very closely. Those are some of the top stories that we're tracking this morning here on India Today. All that much more is up on India Today's social media handles. Same time tomorrow, I'll be joining you with the top stories. For the moment, thank you.